The most evil graduate from each of the Ivy League colleges. Graduating from Harvard University, we have Henry Kissinger, who secretly and extensively bombed Cambodia and overthrew the Chilean democracy. Graduating from Brown, we have James DeWolf, one of the largest slave traders in world history, having trafficked 11,000 slaves. From Cornell graduated Robert T. Morris. He orchestrated one of the first cyber attacks in history, creating the Morris worm, which took out 10% of the internet. Graduating from Princeton University, we have Allen Dulles, the head of the CIA responsible for the illegal experimentation known as MK Ultra. Graduating from UPenn, we have Kermit Gosnell. He ran one of the most horrific medical clinics in history, snipping the spines of infants who were born alive during illegal late-term procedures. Graduating from Yale, we have John C. Calhoun, the two-time vice president who argued that slavery was a positive good, whose writings would go on to inspire the American Civil War. From Dartmouth, we have Daniel Rudolph, brother of the Olympic Park bomber, who videotaped himself cutting off his own hand and then sent it to the FBI to protest the investigation of his brother. Finally, graduating from Columbia, we have Robert Mugabe, the dictator of Zimbabwe, marked by numerous human rights violations, starving his own people, massacre, torture, and destruction of the economy. The most evil graduate from each of the Ivy Plus schools. Graduating from Johns Hopkins, we have Douglas Perlitz. He opened a school in Haiti to teach the homeless children, then immediately Jared Fogeled them. Graduating with a master's from the University of Chicago, we have Richard Spencer, the alt-right white supremacist who organized the infamous Unite the Right rally. Graduating from beautiful Stanford University, we have Theodore Streletsky. He murdered renowned mathematician Carel DeLue, attacking him with a hammer in his office, just because he didn't approve his doctoral thesis. Graduating from Duke, we have former President Richard Nixon, who purposely sabotaged peace talks with Vietnam for political gain, and secretly bombing Cambodia without notifying Congress or the American people. Finally, graduating from MIT, we have Jinjuan Pan. Jinjuan committed several home invasions and drive-bys in New Haven, Connecticut, then went on to kill Yale graduate student Kevin Jiang, shooting him point blank 9 times and then making it look like a random assault. Most evil graduate from each of the public Ivies. Graduating from California, Berkeley, we have Lucky Reddy Bali Reddy, one of the wealthiest landlords in Berkeley and owner of his own Indian restaurant. He exploited the Indian caste system to traffic young women and children to Berkeley in order to force them into intimate servitude. Graduating from Binghamton University, we have Camille Paglia, controversial feminist professor who signed a manifesto supporting NAMBLA, who publicly believes that the Catholic Church's behavior towards children was justified and that the age of consent should be abolished. Graduating from UT Austin, we have good old Rex Tillerson. You may recognize him as the CEO of Exxon, who used their extreme wealth and power to downplay and suppress climate research, which has significantly contributed to the impending environmental collapse. Graduating from Boulder, we have Lynn Cheney, spouse to Dick Cheney, and just as morally reprehensible. She used her power and connections to influence state boards into forcing textbook publishers to write more patriotic narratives, suppressing information about American slavery and war crimes. Graduating from Georgia Tech, we have David Raznick, a prominent member of the AIDS denialist movement, who went to South Africa and convinced the population to stop taking their antiretroviral medication, and instead to cure their HIV with his proprietary vitamin supplement. Alright, that's 5 of them. The next 5 get really unhinged. Follow me for part 2 tomorrow. Most evil graduate from each of the public Ivies. Part 2. Graduating from Washington University, we have Ted Bundy. He's a well-known serial killer from the 70s. He admitted to killing 30 women, but likely killed closer to 100. Graduating from Rutgers University, we have Nadal Ayad. He was the mastermind behind the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. Graduating from University of Virginia, we have Collins Denny Jr., the Virginia lawyer who served as legal counsel to the public school boards when they were arguing against the integration of black students in Virginia. Graduating from Miami University, we have Joseph Robert Davis, the Major General who fought for the Confederacy in the Battle of Gettysburg. Graduating from William and Mary, we have Darren Sharper, NFL safety, played for the Green Bay Packers, and he Bill Cosby'd a bunch of women. Graduating from UNC Chapel Hill, we have Walter Lee Williams. He made it onto the FBI's most wanted list when he Jared Fogeled a couple kids in the Philippines. Finally, graduating from University of Vermont, we have Dr. Eric T. Pullman. He is the first academic in the United States to be jailed for falsifying data in a grant application. The most evil graduate for each of the SEC colleges. Graduating from the University of Arkansas, we have Stephen Craig Campbell. When his college roommate Walter Lee died, Stephen stole his identity and lived as him for 50 years. In that time span, he collected $140,000 in fraudulent Social Security. He also left a toolbox on the step of his ex-wife's boyfriend's house containing a bomb, which then blew off his wife's finger. Graduating from Auburn University, we have Fast Eddie Johnson, two-time NBA All-Star for the Atlanta Hawks. By 2006, Eddie was banned from the NBA, having over 100 arrests and 5 stints in prison for drug charges. And in 2008, he was convicted of Jared Fogeling an 8-year-old in Ocala, Florida. Graduating from University of Alabama, we have Governor of Alabama, George Wallace. George originally ran as a progressive and lost by a landslide. So in order to win, he began appealing to the KKK. He physically blocked the doorway to University of Alabama so black students couldn't enter. Graduating from University of Florida, we have disbarred attorney Scott Rothstein. He ran a $1.6 billion Ponzi scheme. He promised investors huge returns on settlements that did not exist. Graduating from University of Georgia, we have Anthony Polito. Anthony carried out the University of Nevada, Las Vegas shooting. After being repeatedly rejected for academic positions, he sent 22 letters which he then posted on his personal website, accusing professors from his previous institutions of sex crimes and ruining his career. Graduating from Louisiana State University, we have David Duke. David was the Grand Wizard of the KKK. He was then elected to the Louisiana House of Representatives in 1989. He helped internationalize American white supremacist ideology, spreading it to Russia and Eastern Europe. Graduating from University of Tennessee, we have Ray Blanton. As the governor of Tennessee, Ray accepted bribes from murderers in exchange for pardoning them. The most evil graduate from each of the SEC schools, Part 2. Graduating from Ole Miss, we got Timothy Harrington. Timothy was in a down-low relationship with another man, Jay Lee. Afraid that Jay would out him, Timothy strangled Jay to death and buried the body. Graduating from Texas A&M, we have Matthew McConaughey. I'm just kidding. It's a character Matthew played on Unsolved Mysteries. Edward Harold Bell, responsible for the disappearance of 11 girls in Panama City in the 1970s. Graduating from Mississippi State University, we have Mohammed Daklala. He and his girlfriend Jalen Young tried to join ISIS. They were both arrested before getting on their plane to Turkey, where they were going to assist ISIS in their social media recruiting. Graduating from Mizzou, we have Keith Wright. He was a tackle for the Houston Texans. He got life in prison for forced oral copulation. He kidnapped a woman, S8'd her, and forced her to take all of her money out of an ATM. Graduating from University of South Carolina, we have Samuel Phillips Verner, who went to the Congo to buy slaves that he would then sell to human zoos, most famous of which was Ota Benga. Ota was sold to the Bronx Zoo to be a part of their monkey house. The most evil graduate from each of the Big Ten universities. Graduating with a journalism degree from Ohio State, we have serial killer Thomas Lee Dillon. He was a prolific outdoorsman who eventually set his sights on hunting his fellow hunters and hikers. Graduating from Penn State University, we have Jerry Sandusky, an assistant football coach who had access to young boys through his charity, The Second Mile. He was found guilty of essaying at least 10 different boys. Graduating from University of Michigan, we have H.H. Holmes. Often called America's first serial killer, Holmes created a murder castle in Chicago, which included trapdoor chutes and soundproof rooms to torture his victims. Graduating from Purdue, we have Eric Justin Toth. Eric was arrested for creating cheese pizza of 3rd graders while he was teaching in the DC area. Graduating from University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, we have Michael H. Kenyon, aka the Illinois Enema Bandit, who would do armed robberies which involved forcing enemas on female victims. Graduating from University of Iowa, we have Dong Lu. He committed a mass shooting taking out 5 members of his astronomy and physics department. Graduating from Indiana University, we have Emily Harris, leader of the Symbionese Liberation Army, who kidnapped and held for ransom young college student Patty Hearst. Graduating from University of Wisconsin-Madison, we have Theodore Zillman. He was the Dean of Men who led the university's Gay Purge of 1962. Graduating from Northwestern, we have Leonid Radvinsky, the owner of the platform OF, which has done little to prevent the exploitation of minors on its platform, and it is involved in several law cases as a useful tool for trafficking women and children. Finally, graduating from University of Minnesota, we have Minnesota Senator Skip Finn, who used mail fraud to steal $1 million from a federally recognized Native American tribe. The most evil graduate from each of the LDS colleges. Graduating from Brigham Young University, we have Parth Gandhi, a neuropsychologist offering ketamine therapy in Salt Lake City, who shot and killed his own son, Om. Parth was an abusive father, but used his charisma to win full custody of Om. Just as Om's mother seemed to have some success getting her son back, Parth took his life. Utah would end up passing Ohm's Law to try and prevent situations like this from happening. Graduating from BYU, Idaho, we have Frank Vandersloot, rancher and CEO of international supplement company Melaleuca. He was also the big financial support behind Proposition 8, which was the state constitutional amendment that would ban gay marriage in California. He also took out a full-page advertisement in a newspaper in order to out journalists who had investigated the child abuse of the Boy Scouts. Graduating from BYU, Hawaii, we have Sina Pili. Sina was a behavioral health expert at a local high school who would abuse her daughter Azalea to the point of killing her. Apparently, Azalea's abuse had been noticed by other members of LDS, but they all failed to intervene. Graduating from Ensign College, we have J. Reuben Clark Jr. He was the U.S. ambassador to Mexico under President Coolidge. He would use his political connections to spread copies of his favorite book, The Protocols of the Elders of Zion, Imperial Russian anti-Semitic propaganda. The most evil graduate from each of the LDS colleges, Part 2. Graduating from Southern Virginia University, we have Raven Abaroa. Raven met his wife Janet at SVU, both of them being the stars of their respective soccer teams. A short time into their marriage, Raven would begin cheating on Janet. He would move out only to discover quickly that Janet had become pregnant with his first child. Raven would move back in, but things did not work out. Raven murdered his wife, then immediately went to soccer practice in order to give himself an alibi, leaving his baby to fend for itself on its own. Raven didn't just kill Janet, but also his second unborn child. For 5 years, there were no murder charges, and he managed to start a whole new family with a whole new wife. Luckily, the law eventually found the evidence they needed. Graduating from Eastern Arizona College, we have Paul Babot, the sheriff of Pinal County, Arizona, who ran for Congress. His campaign was run on anti-LGBTQ and anti-immigrant policies. Hypocrite that he is, Paul turned out to be gay. Gay with his boyfriend, an undocumented immigrant. He threatened this boyfriend that if he ever outed him, he would deport him. Which is not a joke when you're the sheriff and you have that actual power. Graduating from Snow College, we have Milo R. Simper. Milo dated a 17-year-old while he was 34. Their whole relationship was fueled by alcohol and drugs. He got her pregnant and then in a fit of rage ended her life with a shotgun to the head. Unlike other criminals on this list, usually the crime happens after they graduate. However, Milo got his education at Snow after he had committed this crime. The victim's family had forgiven him, allowing him to take classes while incarcerated. While I understand forgiveness is a part of many faiths, personally I find this crime way too disturbing to forgive. The most evil graduate from each of the Jesuit Ivies. Graduating from Georgetown, we have Steve Bannon. Before Jeffrey died, Steve worked hard to rehabilitate his image after he was put on the sex offender registry. Steve is also the co-founder of We Build the Wall, which crowdfunded a portion of the US-Mexico border wall. None of the money went to a border wall. It went to Brian Kolfig, and Brian used it to pay off his boat. Bannon also co-founded Breitbart, which helped spread fake news classics like an illegal immigrant started the Northern California forest fires, arthritis medication cures COVID, and a mob of 1,000 Muslims burned down Germany's oldest church. Graduating from Boston College, we have FBI agent John Connolly. John had a very inappropriate relationship with his informant, Whitey Bulger. Whitey was the crime boss of the Winter Hill Gang. John would supply Whitey with all the information he needed to avoid arrest. He also informed Whitey which of his gang members were snitching to the cops, leading to the deaths of Brian Holleran and Michael Donahue. Graduating from Fordham University, we have Theodore McCarrick. He used to be Cardinal Archbishop of Washington, D.C., but he was defrocked for Jared Fogeling his altar boys. This abuse stretched decades and included some young adults as well. At least 3 different popes knew about this the whole time they were pope. He was never put on trial because of his dementia. Graduating from Fairfield University, we have Douglas Perlitz. Perlitz created a school in Haiti to house and teach orphans. In exchange for food, clothes, and medicine, Perlitz made the boys trade with their bodies. Graduating from Holy Cross, we have Reverend Daniel F.M. Millard. Daniel has a building named after him at Holy Cross, Millard Art Center. Daniel's niece has been demanding that they change the name of this art center. Daniel abused her and all his other nieces as children, and he did it at the Catholic churches in New Jersey that were supposed to be protecting them.